This is a resources video to show you what reference books I've been using to put these videos together. Starting off, you have to have the certification guide. I guess you don't have to have it. But I have the 4th edition just so that I can see what everyone else is running into. There are a couple of different terms. They've dropped some terms and they've added more terms compared to the edition before that. But I will admit that I mainly use it to figure out what terms are covered and how it's covered in the book. I don't actually use it for definitions because I find that the definitions in this book sometimes vary from what I've learned in biology, for example. Then I have this Arbor Culture textbook from Harris, Clark, and Matheny. It's an old textbook. I don't know how old it is, maybe 20-something years. I've heard that there's a new edition in progress, but that doesn't actually mean a lot. It could be many, many years before it comes out. You can see there's not a lot of words in here, but it's very science-y. There's research and things like that, and some pictures, but they're black and white. So I think this is a comprehensive look at arboriculture, but I'm not sure that I would recommend buying it just because it's not very available and it's expensive. All right, here's my spread for Chapter 1, Biology. This is the best book, Biology by Raven, Evert, and Eichhorn. And I found this book really easy to read, but I have to qualify that. It's easy to read for a textbook. So you can see there's really cool microscopy, lots of good diagrams and things like that. I did find this book a little bit later, but I wish I had found it when I started out the chapter because it was so much easier than trying to refresh what I learned through Wikipedia pages. I don't recommend that. This book, The Botany for Arborists, has really good information. Actually, some information that's not in the Arbor Culture textbook. And this just came out and it's got really nice diagrams too. It's a compilation or a synthesis of articles that were written for the Western chapter of the ISA's magazine. I will say this is not an easy read. It gets confusing. And these are 2 books by Ed Gilman. He's out of Florida. And these are pruning books. I will be using them in a later chapter a little bit more. But this one in particular, you can see it's not very thick. If you had to pick one, this one's got a lot of good pictures, lots of good diagrams. So this would be the one that I would recommend if you were to actually pick up one of these books. And now we have Chapter 2, Tree ID. This is a really good book for learning about tree ID. I used this book in college. For example, how can you learn names of plants? Ask someone who knows. So I would actually recommend reading the intro and all of that too. There's a lot of chapters where they divide up terms relative to the stem, the storage roots, the leaves, and things like that with really nice diagrams. You can see it gets really complicated. Lots of ways of describing the shapes of hairs on top of leaves. But this is a great book in general. And if you're in California, I highly recommend this book. This is by Matt Ritter, who is a professor out of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. It's got nice photographs of the trees, plus descriptions of the history and so on. He's a eucalyptus nerd, so here's his whole key about commonly cultivated eucalyptuses. And it's just a really nice book with lots of pictures, and I really do credit it for teaching me so much about trees I didn't know, even though I had already taken classes on them. I wouldn't say it's a resource that accompanies this book, but Cal Poly San Luis Obispo does have this excellent website called Select Tree, and you can put in filters, you can put in, basically narrow down a bunch of trees to either something you're identifying or a tree that you're looking to select for a client. And they're constantly adding more and more features to it too. All right, so that's it for chapters 1 and 2. I'll do more of these when I wrap up later chapters, and I definitely don't read any of these cover to cover or even entire chapters. I just look for the concepts that I'm covering or interested in at any given time, and I just double check if, let's say, there's some confusing writing in one of them, I can switch over to a different one and kind of reinforce the information that I have.